sparks are flying this morning. Well, just back there. Not much else anywhere else, really. Good Tuesday to you. How are you? Or good Wednesday if you're watching this on Wednesday. But you can only watch this on a Tuesday or Wednesday. If it's not a Tuesday or Wednesday, stop watching now. Come back on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Otherwise, my greetings are null and void. Just letting you know. How are you doing? That's universal. Let me know how you're doing regardless of what day it is. Everything here is going great. We've finally kind of calmed ourselves down from one adventure, and next month we're going to have another small adventure again, but we're going to Florida, which arguably is just as nerve-wracking as going to a foreign country. There were Nazis protesting. Where was that? Was that in Tennessee? I thought we had a whole war that basically said, you know, I mean, I realize people will freedom of speech me, but I feel like if we have an entire war against a group of people, and those group of people were murdering people by the millions, Jews, black individuals, and gays, it seems like any kind of free speech you think you have underneath that flag that we basically went to war over and removed, free speech should be kind of null and void for those folks. Regardless of whether they're of German descent or of European descent or whatever, you know, it doesn't matter what generation they come from. That's not protected speech. We fought a war over it. That should be the way it is, you know? In my head, it's not the way it is, I suppose, but in my head, that's what makes sense to me. You know, those people should not be given a free ride. And in a just government, they would not be. To be honest, I think it's kind of shit that they're riding those coattails. Come up with something else, you know, surprise us, come up with something, you know, different. Why go back to the same old hat, you know, brainstorm something so that it doesn't look exactly like, you know, the same thing we fought a war over, you know. People just don't think about that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's always the people that don't think that get grabbed and pulled into that racist kind of stuff like that. The people that don't care, you know, or too stupid to realize that diversity is a strength and not, you know, something that's bad. I mean, that whole replacement thing, it doesn't make any sense. We are in this country, unless you have come from Germany directly 5 minutes ago. I mean, you are diversity. You are an amalgamation of many different countries for at least 2 or 3 centuries. And even from over in Europe. What is it, Genghis Khan? I mean, how many Genghis Khan babies were there? You know, I mean, that whole thing, it's nonsensical. You know, we're being replaced. Well, no, you're not. You're not being replaced. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You know, it's yay, Crusader Cup to make everything better. You know, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, who's being replaced, and who? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that whole thing is ridiculous. Quite frankly, I hate to entertain the idea at all because it's just stupid. But by the time you would technically be replaced, you would have been dead 3 generations. So that whole idea, the whole anger thing of being replaced, you're going to be dead. You're dead. You're gone. You have nothing else to give society. Your time is over. Too bad, so sad, bye-bye. I mean, that's it. I don't get and nobody has foresight. Nobody looks ahead to see where they're going to be in 15 years, dead. So I don't know why you're, like this, because where you're sitting, you're fine. No one's replacing you in your chair. You're retired. No one's replacing you in your retirement. I mean, the whole concept, it's a stupid concept that has been boiled down to basic ignorance, and too many people have grasped onto it for no reason. It's just why? Why? It'd be so much easier if we just worked on ways of making sure everybody got what they needed. Everybody got what they needed. And it would just be so much easier. But, bottom line, we fought an entire war against Nazis. They lost. They lost their privileges, I guess you could say. So they don't have freedom of speech. If you label yourself as a Nazi, you do not have the freedom to speak. We fought a war over it. The people you represent killed millions of people. You have no say in anything. Come up with something else. But no, they're lazy and they're stupid. So that's the imagery they grab onto immediately, because it's easy. It's not hard, it's easy. It's easier to just be terrible. It's just lazy. It's laziness to grab onto that symbol and wear it around you when someone else did it almost 100 years ago now. It's lazy. It's an idiot being lazy, and they're stupid. I mean, you don't need to overanalyze it. These are stupid people doing stupid things because it's easy. Because they're bored. Well, let me tell you about the bored people. Let me tell you about the old bored people around here and their constant attempt of manipulation of things. I mean, holy crap. They're bored, they're retired, they don't have anything better to do. So they're going to find everything and they're just going to grind it into the ground. I'm probably going to cut all this anyway. Yeah, I think I've had my rant. I don't think we're going to talk about this anymore. The water's almost done anyway. Ugh. I don't know, I just saw the Nazi thing and I'm like, what on earth is going on? How? How are we back to this point? How is that? Because, there was a Nazi movement in America in the 20s, late 20s? Before we entered the war, maybe early 30s, that kind of thing. There was a movement. And, it's like white, rich people that have no idea of what's going on, don't see the faces of the innocents that are being murdered. Don't see the terror and the horror of the bombs and of dropping and the tanks rolling all over people and that kind of a thing. They just sit in their cushy places and they're like, well, yeah, the Nazis, they've got a great thing going. And it's like, what? And smart people said no. They didn't violently say no. They didn't vehemently say no for the most part. They just said, no, I'm not interested in that. And then it's when they started threatening, if you're not part of this regime, you may be on the losing end at some point. And it's like, there's your red flags, but I don't think those have been invented yet. I don't know. I'm going on about things that bother me, but I really don't have any control over. You're not going to see that pop up in my small community. Well, you'll see it in Delaware County. It's already been seen in Delaware County. It's been to downtown Columbus, down High Street, wearing red jackets and having those flags. Downtown Columbus, for crying out loud, one of the most diverse cities in the country for immigration, for the college, for the business. Chase has a huge campus. Nationwide is huge downtown. Nationwide Insurance, there are big companies here that employ. Intel is moving in, So, people move here from all over the country, and the amount of diversity that is here is huge. It's one of the biggest, definitely not the biggest, but maybe like top 5 or 6 or 7, something like that, cities in the country for that sort of thing. And Nazis are walking down the street. How? And it's not freedom of speech. They lost that. They lost their freedom to speak about hate and being evil in a war. You know, I mean, we're finally doing the right thing about the Confederates shit. You know, we're finally saying, no, you know what? Confederate cowards that wanted slavery to happen, and, you know, no, they don't get statues. You know, and that's the right thing to do. I mean, those statues were put there to show black individuals that they have a place in this world, and it is not at the table, and that's not right. We should be far beyond that, and that all of that shit should have been erased. But unfortunately, it's been preserved and amplified by stupid racist idiots who stir up stupider, just as racist idiots in lower income positions who just don't understand that the world is more than the 5 feet that's around them at all times. And yeah. I tell you, if you want to change someone's attitude about that sort of thing, take them to Medellin, Colombia for 4 days. Show them the perspective. You know, you think your little trailer is it? No, it's not. Let's go about 3,000 miles this way, and we can discuss reality. So, I don't know. People need perspective. They're not going to get it. We're kind of stuck with this until the generation thing happens at some point. I don't know. Racism is never going to go away. It's just going to evolve into something else, and then into something else, and then into something else. You know? I mean, the trans community is seeing that now. Yeah, some quite heinous acts have happened towards individuals in the trans community just over the past couple of days. It's awful. I have 2 friends who have trans children, and I do my best to make sure that they're all right. It's just, they need support, they need help, they need care, they need understanding, they need love, and a lot of times they're not getting that. They're getting misdiagnosed, or they're getting mistreated, or they're getting put somewhere where they can't bother the teacher who doesn't care anymore, you know? So it's Tuesday. We've already gotten pretty heavy. I won't apologize for it, though. I mean, we're just in a place. We're in a place now, and unfortunately, it's an election year. We've got the crazies coming out for local stuff. That woman that wants to be a congressperson, endorsed by Jim Jordan, that asshole, that OSU moron who should not have gotten elected to start with, but the people in his constituency are pretty stupid. He gerrymandered himself a great swath of really idiot people who voted for him. So, and then this woman is endorsed by him, came sending out leaflets and stuff like that. I mean, one of her talking points is, we're going to keep marijuana out of our schools, which has worked for the past, 100 years? Totally worked. I mean, these idiots, they know their talking points, and they know how they can get you to vote for them, and then they're going to get to their place, and then they're not going to care about you. I mean, look at Jim. Jim hasn't done anything for anyone for as long as he's been in office. He got there, and now he's sitting there, and he's hoping that he never gets put out, because if he does, then he's got so many people waiting to sue his ass for his negligence in the rape and molestation of several boys at that college at OSU. I mean, He's just got, that's what's on the other side. And for some reason, we can't prosecute him, or at the very least sue him with any degree of success, because he's sitting there. It doesn't make any sense. You can't hold anyone accountable because they're I mean, yeah, it's like that fucking guy. You know, he's like, you know, if I get reelected president again, no one can touch me. That just doesn't make any sense. Just because he's president? You got a vice president. I mean, you can remove people. I don't understand. We just tiptoe around it, and it's like, oh, we don't want to upset the balance. Well, maybe we should upset the balance because the balance is skewed. We're half a bubble off a plum here. And I've probably gone for the past 15 minutes and I haven't made any coffee yet. And that's just sad. So I've got my Crusader Cup out here. It smells wonderful. I'm very excited. We're going to get back into this. We're going to do it in our Chemex. And then I'm going to grind this. I'm going to do about a medium fine. Right about there. We'll see what happens. Honestly, it's nice to hear the whir of that conical burr grinder. I kind of missed it last week, although I was very, very happy and excited about having the coffee from Colombia to drink and try and do a couple different methods with, just to see how it turned out. And, you know, it tasted wonderful. It tasted sweet. It had a nice body to it. You know, it was really, and I still have another packet of it that I may introduce every once in a while. But it's just delicious. It's just a delicious coffee. It's got a nice acidity to it. It just tastes so good. I really enjoyed the aroma and the flavor. I don't think I'm going to use the sugar anymore. Hello, Indy. What are you doing? Yeah. I'm not going to use that sugar anymore. I'm not saying it's not bad. It's not bad sugar. It's just not good for our purposes. Plus, what's really funny is he got in touch with the folks at the coffee farm, and lo and behold, it wasn't the sugar they put in that tea, because I made the tea on Saturday, and if I'm at all honest, I mean, it tasted fine, but it had if you've ever been in a field just after it's been mowed and the hay's laying down and they're about to start baling, that's the kind of smell taste that it gave off, and it certainly didn't give that kind of a taste at the coffee farm. And it was because it needed to be steeped just a little bit less, and it needed to be it needed a little less lemongrass in it, and then it needed to have honey, because they used honey to sweeten it, not the sugar, which makes sense, because to be honest, it was a little bit creamier and a little bit. Well, I mean, it was a lot less. See, I put 32 in there. Well, we'll just get it up to 400. I think we'll be all right if we get it up to about 400. Keep agitating. There we go. Yeah, it was honey. So I will use honey next time, and I'm sure it'll taste great. And what's really unfortunate is this butcher block here smells like onions, and I've washed it several dozen times. I cut a big onion on it Friday night, something like that, and it may have been a little too old, the onion. It was fine. It was just harder to slice because I think it was an older onion, and it left an odor on this thing that I can't scrub off very well. It'll take a little bit of time. The towel I used was just covered in onion juice, so I had to throw that in the laundry. But yeah, the butcher block here is just, it doesn't smell as good as it used to. I may have to switch to another butcher block. I don't know enough about politics anymore. I never knew enough about politics. Maybe I knew a little bit more about it in college, but when I was studying stuff. Today it's just all observational nonsense, and it's maddening. It's maddening to watch. It just is. I'll let that cool a little bit. I'm very excited for this Bones coffee. Oop, the TARDIS has almost left. You can kind of see that. But it's showing up over here because of the heat transfer. Look at you. Look at you being all TARDIS-y. It's not great. I think I put it through the dishwasher once or twice, and that's not good for heat transfer. That's good. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just wonder, I mean, I guess coffee farmers, I don't know if coffee farmers even care that there's, specialty flavored coffee like this. You'd wonder what their reaction would be. To me, I mean, this is delicious, but then again, I live here, where we were bombarded with sugary drinks as children. So, and then, as adults, here's Starbucks, which Starbucks, Dunkin', and all of those mainstream bulk coffee shops. I haven't visited one in at least 2 years, and I will continue to do that, not visit them, because, that it's not that the rant about, I'm not afraid of cancer. I can't imagine the amount of coffee from those places you would have to drink before it would have a negative effect. It's probably a couple hundred less than the sweet and low packets with the carcinogen in it. Sweet and lows could kill you, but you would have to drink. You'd have to pour in like thousands of packets in order to get any kind of undesirable carcinogenic effect from that. It's the same with coffee. You'd have to drink 50 cups of coffee a day probably for a long time in order to accumulate enough of that in your stomach in order to facilitate something like that. I mean, I would say that because I'm sure a lot of it, you're drinking it in the morning and then you're doing other stuff. You're drinking water all day, or even you're drinking a soda, or, you're eating food. So that, a lot of that stuff does get washed away and then it gets deposited somewhere else. So kidney cancer or bowel cancer, or, so that's fun. That's something fun to think about. Anyway, it's good coffee. Yeah. I mean, you get to a certain point and it's like, I've tasted my coffee over and over again. I wonder if they go out and look at different things, like this. I mean, I don't know if this would pop up on their radar. This seems very like an American thing. I think all of these are very American. I don't know why anybody else would come up with this kind of a thing to add flavor to the coffee like that. Yeah, it'd be an interesting thing to find out, I guess, if those kind of places know about this kind of thing and if they've tried it. But I mean, their coffee is delicious just the way it is. It's just branch out and just figuring out new things, seeing new things. I mean, it's basically all I was thinking. Thank you for watching this morning. I will make it less political tomorrow. Today, I just got aggravated. But I'm not a free speech scholar. I'm not a scholar of the Constitution. I just know that what I see on my streets is absolutely ridiculous. And whereas a lot of people seem to have easily forgotten past happenstances, I have a very hard time of doing that once I've learned how terrible stuff was. Anyway, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And we will come back tomorrow and I'll make some more coffee. Maybe I'll get out that naturally processed coffee with the sloths on the side of it tomorrow, and we'll make that. We'll make that the way I watched them make it down in Colombia with the wooden spoon and the French press. I don't think I've done that in the French press yet. That's interesting. We'll do that. We'll do that and we'll see what kind of a difference it makes. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.